Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. I'm Jayalata. On behalf of the School of Computer Science, would like to invite and greet a pleasant good afternoon to one and all present here. Winners don't do things differently. They do things differently. Yes, we are here together for the inauguration of our association, Chetana 2021, followed by a webinar on how sneaky the source code vulnerabilities are. Are there any specific expectation? Organized on behalf of School of Computer Science, VET Institute of Arts and Science, Erode. We feel privileged to welcome you all. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. It is on occasions like this, we get opportunities to enhance our knowledge. On behalf of the management, principal, dean of academics, administrative officer, heads of various departments, members of faculty and students, we welcome you all to this wonderful occasion.
One song can change a moment, one idea can change the world, one step can start a journey, but a prayer can change the impossible. Keeping in this mind, let's begin the occasion with a prayer. Prayer sung by Pradeep Raj.
उमाशुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पारात्पङ्कजम् गणनायकं विघ्ननायकं विघ्नेश्वरं गणनायकं विघ्ननायकं विघ्नेश्वरं मूषिकवाहन श्री गणनाथं मूषिकवाहन श्री गणनाथं सुरभुरिवन्दित श्री गणेशं सुरभुरिवन्दित श्री गणेशं गणनायकं विघ्ननायकं विघ्नेश्वरं गणनायकं विघ्ननायकं विघ्नेश्वरं. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep Raj.
I call upon Ilakya, Secondary School of Computer Science, to welcome the gathering.
I'm really privileged to welcome the distinguished gathering for the inauguration of Chaitanya, the Association of School of Computer Science, followed by the webinar. On behalf of VET Institute of Arts and Science, I warmly welcome the guest speaker, Dr. Bharanidharan Shanmugam, Coordinator of Information Technology Postgraduate, Charles Darwin University, Australia. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you, sir. A hearty welcome to our Principal, Dr. Saravanan R. My heartfelt welcome to our Dean of Academics, Dr. Shakila Matthew, our Administrative Officer, Mr. Logesh Kumar S., and our Head of the Department, Dr. Anand K.R. for this program. I am also pleased to invite all the computer heads of various departments and the vibrant faculty of VET Institute of Arts and Science. My word of welcome goes next to all the young and energetic students of VET Institute of Arts and Science. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilakya.
He empowered us with the power of knowledge. He motivated us with the best tutelage. He helped us to move ahead with unending motivation. His leadership is what has given us wings. As a leader and a human being, he is a true inspiration. I would like to invite Dr. Saravanan R., Principal, VET Institute of Arts and Science, to address the gathering.
Good afternoon, the chief guest of the function, Bharanidharan Shanmugam, Coordinator, Information Technology, Senior Lecturer, Information Technology, College of Engineering, IT and Environment, Charles Darwin University, Australia. I also thank our HOD, Dr. Anand, and all the faculty members for arranging the welcome functions as early as possible. I think that nearly about all the participants, all the students are the participants here. I welcome you, the chief guest, as well as the participants for this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I would now like to invite Hinduja, Secondary School of Computer Science, to introduce our guest speaker.
I am very glad to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Bharanidharan Shanmugam. He is currently at the College of Engineering, IT and Environmental at Charles Darwin University, Australia. He received his PhD degree in Computer Science from University Technology, Malaysia. He is a cyber security researcher and a practitioner with industry and academic experience. His research is multidisciplinary that focuses on cyber security, IoT, and recently microgrids. He works closely with environment and industry on many projects, including the Northern Territory, NT, Department of Corporate and Digital Development, and NT Police. He holds CISSP, Certified Information System Security Professional, is an independent information security certification granted by the International Information System Security Certification Consortium, also known as ISC Square, and is currently the Darwin branch chief of the Australia Information Security Association. He spends his free time nourishing cyber skills with next generation student and gathering. Thank you.
Thank you, Induja.
Sir, please let us have the privilege of listening to your keynote address, which could be the highlight of today's program.
Okay, thank you guys. Anand, shall I start? Okay, let me share.
Okay, sir, start the program.
Sure. Okay, great. First of all, I would like to thank everyone present over here. And a special thanks goes to my college friend Anand for inviting me or resting my arms to be present here. Before getting into the speech directly, I would like to welcome you all to your career, to your respective careers. And on top of it, this is one of the hardest time we have ever seen in our life. Being said that there could be a lot of natural calamities, but the entire world has been standstill. A lot of new norms has been followed. And it's really very hard to work from home because in Australia is one of the strictest country in this world, not allowing anyone to move in or out these days. So I can understand the frustration, and I can understand how eager we all will be waiting to get out of this particular pandemic. Hopefully, most of you would have had your jabs, so we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I would wish you all good luck with all your careers. Right. So for today's speech, I would like to touch something upon cybersecurity. So this particular topic, which is how sneaky the source code vulnerabilities are, since it is getting recorded, I would like to put a word of caution. Anyway, I'll read the disclaimer at the end also. There will be a small, short demo at the end of this speech. I'll introduce a tool to you. You can use the tools to find the vulnerabilities available on various websites, but please make sure you do it in a more diligent way, and you don't do it for any other cause other than informing the owner or asset owner. I'll come back to this later. Okay, how sneaky the source code vulnerabilities are. This is what the topic which we'll be discussing for today. But before starting my official speech, I begin today by acknowledging the Larakia people, the traditional owners or the custodians of the land on which I present, and pay my respects to the elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. So this is a culture which we need to follow if you're in Australia. If you're present from an Australian land, The map you're seeing is the Aboriginal map, meaning to say that to our Indian history, before independence or before few hundred years, it was the country is made of small kingdoms. So it is pretty much the same. You can see all the colors over the map. It's all about the country. They call it as an Aboriginal country. So they have every country here, every color represents a country, and every country speaks a different language, similar to what in India we do. They don't have any scripts like our indigenous people in India, they do. They don't have any scripts, but they are very strong in terms of culture, and a lot of these cultures are pretty much close to Indian culture and customs. For example, respecting the elders. For every country, there will be an elder, meaning to say that a king. So everyone follows bluntly and blankly, no questions asked. So this is a culture, and if you're very keen to know about this culture, just Google around traditional owners of Australia. You will get heaps of information. Right, this is about myself. You can just jump online to find about my research and other interests. And this is my email address if you are really keen to understand what are the research opportunities, or if you'd like to have some suggestions in terms of your career plan, all those things, I'm more than happy to help you guys. So what's in for today? We'll discuss something about what are these vulnerabilities are, what exactly is these vulnerabilities. And on top of it, we'll discuss something about what is OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities. And then we'll have a very short demo, and then we'll go with the Q&A session. So I've divided the 1 hour into first 20 minutes. I'll speak about the vulnerabilities, and then the next 20 minutes will be the demo, and obviously with Q&A. So in terms of vulnerabilities or vulnerability, you might have heard this word, especially after COVID-19. The number of cyber attacks or the number of data compromising, it has increased almost multifold, meaning to say everyone is using digital technology. Everyone is using a device in one form or other. So the vulnerabilities has increased multifold. And in the beginning of last year, 2020, you might have heard a word called Zoom bombing. Zoom, the application which we are using, even it had a vulnerability which anyone with that particular link can join. Even they are outside the organization or within the organization, they can join and they can start sharing the screen. And there was one vulnerability where they started sharing pornography images, and that's where they were very scary, and the vulnerability has been fixed. So this is a clear example of how people exploit that particular vulnerability. So when we talk about the data breaches, this is something which is very common these days. So I have highlighted some of the latest data breaches that has come out even yesterday. What they have tried to do is whenever you're connecting your machine or your device to the internet, definitely there will be one or more entry points into your machine or into your network. So what do you mean by this particular? So what exactly the hackers they do? They always spend days or even months vulnerabilities. I would say these movies are it's a spoiler. Don't get cheated by these movies, or don't get deceived by these movies where they'll just show like typing in some keyboard and putting in some black screens or dark screens, and within a couple of minutes he will be looking and he'll be just doing some something with his hand, and then he presses the enter. Boom, your system is hacked, the entire network is down, or probably you have transferred a few $1 million just like that. It is not going to happen. That is not the reality. People, they spend more days in analyzing the source code, downloading the source code, trying to understand what are the weaknesses are. They try to connect the dots, build a story, and then from there they try to get into your system. So these are all some of the latest data breaches, because when we say data breach, it is nothing but people are looking for your personal data. What are your personal data? According to Data Security Society of India, or according to Australian Signal Directorate in Australia, or in most of the world, most of the organizations in the world, there are few data that has been classified as personal data. First one is your name, and the second one is your email address. And the third one is your database. The next one is your telephone number, your mobile number. A fifth one is your house address, and sixth one is your, in India, we have Aadhaar card. So your Aadhaar card is your personal identifiable information. And the next one is your PAN card number, and anything which it gives the user some information or some valuable information, that is called personally identifiable information, or PII, or data the people or the black hat people will be looking for. So being said that, data is in 5 to 10 years down the line, Facebook, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, or all these tech companies, they will be conquering the world. So what do you mean by that? For the past few years, I would say like 20, 30, 40 years, oil companies has been conquering the entire world because of the natural resources they have. So it is not something which doesn't get depleted at all. Oil depletes it because it's a natural resource. But when it comes to data, it started like a small, tiny ball, and now it has become like a massive data center where you have people, they don't even know how many zillions of data they have. So it's like a massive amount of data available. So people can do whatever they want with the personal data. So that's why you can see for the past, these are all some of the top. So there has been 8 to 10 big or massive data breaches has happened. So how do you get all these things? It's very simple. You can just get into Google and get your email ID, subscribe to some of the newsletters that is available in the Google, which will help you to keep yourself updated with what exactly is happening. So this is about the world standard and what is happening with Indian data breaches. If any one of you probably, if you have traveled in Air India, your data might have been breached, meaning to say that your data could have been leaked. Or if you have ordered something with Domino's Pizza, and if you have used credit card, almost 180 million pizza preferences along with 1 million credit card has been sold, or it has been taken. It's for almost like 10 Bitcoins, or approximately 535,000 US dollars, or 4 crores of rupees, which is equivalent to 13 terabytes of data. What people they do, we'll see in the later stage. So it did not even spare the COVID-19 test results of Indian patients. It was a massive attack in the beginning of this year, but it has subsided. See, based on one of the statistics from CSO Online, 4 in 10 Indians have experienced an identity theft. So what exactly does it mean to you? So what's the big deal if they take my license, if they take my credit card information, or if they take my Aadhaar card? So what's the impact of it? Why I need to be bothered? See, there is a cost for everything. When I say the IT companies or the companies that has massive data will be conquering the world, this is the cost of every individual's information. Onto the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the credit card banking information. Any cloned MasterCard with a PIN number, with an official PIN number, it was sold for $15 US dollars in 2020, but it has increased to $25 US dollars in 2021. This is according to the latest Verizon data breach report. And if it is a cloned Amex card with a PIN number, obviously it goes slightly higher. If it is a Visa card, it's pretty much the same. I think the value of the Visa card has not, it has been unchanged. But you can see there is a massive growth in credit card details, account balance of up to $1,000. If it is up to $5,000, a cost of $240. So what I'm trying to say here is, if your credit card information has been stolen, for instance, in this case, Domino Pizzas has lost a lot of its data. So which means all the credit card information will be sold in the dark web for a price. So if you have a Walmart account that's based on the US with a credit card attached to it, and then this particular one, it is $14. The most expensive is credit card details with account balance of up to $5,000, which means if your credit card is having a $5,000 balance, which is roughly equivalent to 350,000, that is 3.5 lakh Indian rupees. So that means it has a greater value in the dark net. So try to have one of the measure what you could do is you could have a very minimal account balance so that you will not be sold, or your information will not be sold in the dark web. And the second thing what they could do is there could be an identity theft, meaning to say they can steal your information, and they could easily impersonate you, and then they could get a bank loan, or they could do some identity theft, or they could do any fraudulent activities, including drugs, including weapons, or child abuse, or child trafficking, money laundering. Any sort of activities could be done using your identity. And obviously, we'll be in trouble. Governments will help us if they have proved that it is not you, the real identity, but still we'll be in trouble. I mean, it's an unnecessary hassle. Or people could use your details to do a phishing on the companies, and then they could spread some viruses into the company network, making sure that the company is ransomware. If you have not heard of ransomware, probably these days ransomware, the term ransomware is very famous. Ransomware is nothing but based on phishing or based on any other activity, your system or your computer, your hard disk will be encrypted. And if they want to decrypt with a key, that means if they want to open it with a key, you need to pay them some ransomware. So when it comes to the payment of ransomware, they always look for Bitcoins, because Bitcoins, it is very hard, even though it has a traceability features, but after a certain extent or after a certain time, it is very hard to trace where the Bitcoins went into spending. So they would like to, on towards the right-hand side of the screen, you can see that is how ransomware it works. And if a computer is being hit, or if a system is being hit with the ransomware, the best defense is always format your system, get all the data from the backup. You might ask a question, if you don't have a backup, unfortunately, no one can help you, because this is not the right, based on without having backup data, it is not the right thing to have a key, open the system, because you never know what type of malware or what type of spyware that has been installed on your machine. And obviously, as we have already discussed, you will be sold on a dark web, which it might not look nice in your profile. So moving further, I'm part of this open web application security project. I always recommend open source community, because I'm a great fan of open source community. Being said that, this is an open web application security project. It's a not-for-profit, and it is all over the world. We have a Bangalore chapter. I think in Coimbatore also they are trying to have a chapter. And find out what are the latest chapters available, or write to the local people, because you can find the Indian contacts, and you can write to them. And even in the college, you can start a small chapter, discuss among yourself, what are the vulnerabilities, what are the tools available, what are the career opportunities, and you will network with like-minded people, and obviously at the end you will land into a job. Right, so this OWASP, or Open Web Application Security Project, once in 3 years or once in 4 years, they will come out with top 10 vulnerabilities. So for the past few years, since 2003, when this list of vulnerabilities has been declared, the injection flaw, or a SQL injection, which is commonly known as, it is always on the top slot. This is mainly because it is not that there is no proper defense against it, but indeed there is the structure of the database in such a way that for a simple usage, not for a complicated usage. So the structure in which how the database interacts with the front end, that's where the vulnerabilities it lies within. The next one is the authentication problem or the session management issues, which has been incorrectly implemented. So the next one is about, the next one is about sensitive data exposure. So this is something people having a very weak passwords or a very weak credentials. The most commonly used password or the top 10 passwords is always ABC123, QWERTY 123456, or they would say password 01, where is my password, Apple, Orange. So these are all simple passwords people they always try to use. Bear in mind, whenever you have these type of passwords, your credentials will be completely lost. So being said that these type of sensitive data exposure, it is one of the critical vulnerability. It's mainly because of user inputted information and data is being compromised. So we will see how those things are being done. And the next one is about external entities. So these external entities are nothing but it's about XML markup language, meaning to say that see, nowadays when you develop an application or when you develop a system, it's not like in a single bubble sitting within itself and not doing anything. It always interacts with multiple systems across the globe. For example, if you are developing a small website to sell, let's say some dolls, which you or someone in your family has built it. So what happens is, first thing, it interacts with the shopping cart because there is a particular API which could import the shopping cart. And the next one is it could be a payment gateway, and where the payment gateway it could be a third-party provider, and on top of it you'll be liaising with the suppliers, and at the same time you'll be liaising with the postal services or the person who delivers that particular one. So there are multiple occasions where it has to be connected together. So if there is any one vulnerability in any of these occasions, the impact is quite huge. And the next one is broken access control, which means you're being given or you're giving permission to extend to perform a certain operation in a certain part of your particular application, but which means like you give a permission and it gives you a massive permission, or I would say like a super administrative permission to do everything. And obviously this could lead to a disaster consequences. And obviously the next one is the security misconfiguration. This is typically occur when there is an improper configuration. For example, in Microsoft SQL Server, up until 2016 or 2012 version, there used to be one username and password which was called SA and SS. So what is this SA? What is this particular SA means? This is system administrator and something system password or something like this. So this is what it just all about. And they haven't disabled those username and password. Whenever during any vulnerability analysis, whenever they try to see a SQL Server, they always try to check whether the SA and give a credentials as SA and SS and see whether that particular credential goes ahead or not. In predominant cases, it will work. So this is just an example. And another example of security misconfiguration is we have a practice. We have sometimes system administrators will be a bit lazy. Next, and then finish. So we go with all default configurations. So that is one of the biggest mistake all security administrators they do. And the next one is, or the next two things are cross-site scripting and insecure deserialization. So cross-site scripting, it happens whenever there is any small text box that is available in any website. So this particular cross-site scripting happens. But the good news, why it has moved to 7th spot, is mainly a lot of these browsers, they have a very strong defense mechanism against a basic cross-site scripting, but it is well-crafted cross-site scripting, then you need to have a defense at a different end. The next one is about insecure deserialization. So this is all about how you put in a source code, how you put in an untrusted access into the system. And the other one is the use of components with known vulnerabilities. It is mainly because of either lack of awareness or it is mainly lack of risk appetite. So what happens is, we know that there is a vulnerability, but still we don't have any other option. We just use it. Let us see whenever there is an impact. So whenever we talk about security, it always has to be from a top-down approach rather than a bottom-up approach. So what is this top-down approach is? People sitting on top, for instance, in your case, it could be the principal saying to all the lecturers and students, see, whenever you log in, please make sure that you have a very strong credentials, having a strong username, password, and your password should be a mix of small letters, capital letters, numbers, and special characters. And it has to be a minimum of 12 digits. So this is something, if the principal or someone at the head of the institution or someone with the head of the company, or would say like chief security officer, they implement it. That's where it gets down to the lower level, and they will follow it, and it will avoid the risk that is getting involved. And obviously, the last vulnerability is all about insufficient logging and monitoring, meaning to say that any incidents or any system. That's why in your Windows machine, you might see, if you have used Windows 10 predominantly, they have an option of logging in, or they're having an option of logging all the logs. So there are so many logs that you could look after. And if you have installed the firewall or Bitdefender properly within your system, that it look for logs and make sure that your system is not being compromised. So what happens predominantly, most of the companies, they don't want to spend too much money on this type of logging, because if you want to implement any control, if you want to implement anything on top of existing, obviously it costs money. See, investing in security is about getting an insurance. No one would like to make use of an insurance. So if you invest in security, you never know how many things it has blocked. But if you don't invest in security, you never know how many things or how you have been compromised, unless and until there is a very critical vulnerability, or if your system is down. Australia recently, they have come out with something called Mandatory Data Breach Notification Act, meaning to say that any company that does a business within Australia, so they would like, if there is any compromising, if someone has hacked into the system, they have to ensure that they inform the government what are the data that has been compromised. And if there is massive data breach, then it becomes the responsibility of the company to pay to the data owners. For example, if the Charles Darwin University has been compromised and if they've taken all the data that belongs to me, so the government assigns a value to that particular data as a gesture of your data is being stolen. So the university has to, or the company has to pay to each and every individual data owners a certain amount of money. So that it is mandated by law. So nowadays what happens, instead of spending so many $1 billion once the data breach has happened, now companies have started putting a lot of security measures and controls to ensure that the data breaches are not happening. So these are all the top 10 vulnerabilities. So jump online, just get into OWASP. Whatever resources available on this website, it is absolutely free. They don't charge anything. As a token of appreciation, they might ask you to pay a membership fee of around $20 US. I think it's roughly about 1,400 rupees. Nowadays, it's not a very big money for students. And you have a student member, and you can just spend some, and even see, it is not only spending money on them, it is spending your valuable time. I know one student, one of my previous student who worked for this particular OWASP Foundation, and he worked on a single project, and he spent his time in coding, and he put in one of the very nice GUI for one of the application. And because of that particular voluntary work he did, he managed to get a role in one of the top cyber companies in the world, because they would like to see that you are being appreciated based on the work you do. when you go, I've been out of India for the past 20 years, so I'm not sure how the voluntary work it works in India. But outside India, if you spend your time on a voluntary basis, they value you a lot. For example, I'm the Darwin branch chair of Australia Information Security Association, where we spend our time in nourishing the school kids, spreading the word about security, how to make it secure. We are building the community, or we are bringing the community together to ensure that security is reaching up until to the last citizen of this particular country. Okay, so I'm not sure whether you could hear the video, but I would just like to show you what this top level or C-level executives always expect from a cybersecurity experts. So let me push the thing up. Can you hear? Anyway, it's from Matrix movie. So this is what the top management or C-level executives, they always try to have a very minimal budget, and they expect you to do everything in terms of cybersecurity. But the good thing is, for the past 5 years, or predominantly for the past 2 years, when COVID has made a major impact, I can see there is a big budget, or there is a big spending on budget in terms of cybersecurity. Right. Okay. So now let's get into the practical session of what exactly we would like to show you. I will be using a Burp Suite, which is a community edition. And this particular tool, it is being highly used by most of the security experts and most of the, even by most of the hackers. They get to really understand how an application, it communicates with the web server. So what we will be using, or where we will be using this particular Burp Suite is, this is the browser. This is what we will be typing something, and this is a website, or this is the server where you will be looking for, or where the website will be looking for some information. So what happens whenever you hit enter into the browser, it transmits over from application layer, it goes down to the physical layer and gets transmitted over this particular server and gets back the response. So whatever operations you do, you click something, you search for something, goes and comes back. So what this Burp Suite does is it tries to intercept. It is more like a sort of tapping your telephone, or overhearing some conversation with if someone is speaking, or in our it's a simple Tamil term, we'll say like I completely forgot. காது கொடுத்து கேட்கிறது. So காதை தீட்டிட்டு கேட்கிறது. So they try to see what exactly is happening between the browser and the website. So it is a very simple tool, and it is freely available. It's a community edition I'm going to use, even though I have access to the professional edition, but I would prefer to use the community edition, because it's pretty much 95% of the work is being done in the community edition, since you don't need much reporting. Okay, so I know you'll be bored, so I would like to jump into a demo, but prior to that, I would like to read this statement of disclaimer. This particular demo is for educational purpose only for you guys. Any actions or activities related to the material contained within this presentation is solely your students' responsibility. The misuse of the information presented can result in criminal charges brought against the person or the persons. Organizer, which is the college, nor the presenter, myself, will not be held responsible in the event of any criminal charges be brought against any individuals misusing the information to break the law. So this is something like a word of caution. You can try, and if you find any vulnerabilities, please let the owners of or who manages that particular website know. Let them sort out, or let them remove that particular risk, or remove that particular or patch that particular vulnerability. And obviously, who knows, you might be rewarded for that particular one, and you might be hired by that particular company. Right, okay. So before getting into, let me pull my, okay, let me share the entire desktop. So let me pull the so this is the I believe you can see the screen. Yeah, I can see the screen. Okay, so this is a Burp Suite Community Edition. You can just download if you want. I can just go to Burp Suite, and so this has been built by a professional company, and they have, it's pretty much 14,000 organizations is using it, and just you can use it as a community edition at a later stage. So you can always work for this particular, I mean, you can always download this from this particular one, and you can just go for it. Okay, so just to start, I would say this is how the Burp Suite Community Edition it works. We work on a temporary project because we have a limitation. So we just start the Burp Suite. So this particular project is getting started. Let me, I was practicing few things. Okay, so what happens with this particular Burp Suite is, you can see there are multiple tabs on a proxy, and you have an intruder, and you have multiple options available. But just for the sake of this particular session, I will start with the proxy section, and we will see only how the interception is happening and how to see what are the vulnerabilities available. I think I've just, sorry guys, I have used and the time, I've overshot at a time. I'll try to make sure that we are finishing it on time. Okay, what happens with this particular one? They have an inbuilt browser. So you can just click on this particular browser and see what is happening. So just for the sake of understanding, I'm just getting into this website. So let me move it to somewhere else. Okay, let it be here. Okay. Okay. Oh, something has minimized. Sorry guys, give me a second. Okay, you can see both the screens. On to the right hand side, this is the browser we have, which is an inbuilt browser, and this is the interception tool. So what I have done, I've just given Google, I would like to search for google.com, and it is here. I can see if the interception is on, I would like to inspect what exactly it is happening between the browser and the Google server. So this is what it happens. So I need to give a forward, and then I need to forward it again to see what exactly is happening. And then only you will get a response back here. If I change any parameters here, automatically it will not get a proper response. So intercept is off. I would like to see it goes there. It's a Ninja Remote website, and it just goes, and onto the left hand side, nothing is happening. Right. So now what I do, I just put on the intercept is on, and this is a simple remote website which is used to block all the traffic and other signals. So we would like to add some, this is how we find a vulnerability. We try to add something to the shopping cart and see what is there, what information is being passed. So guys, Anand, stop me if something is glitching. So here I can see there is some information is there. I can see the action. This is the most important thing which you should be focusing on. Nothing is interesting to me. I'm just forwarding it. I don't see the cookies are there, shipping and the quantity or Ninja Remote 2, whatever it is, it's not very interesting to me. So now I can see the shopping cart. I have already had a 2 quantity on it, so I need to check it out now. So I'm just giving it checkout. So immediately it just passes on some information. I just get into forward. So now I need to select something which is a standard air shipping. I'll go for a standard air. You can see these are the parameters that is being passed, which is shipping is and the category it is standard. So which means Canada standard. Can you see here? It's Canada standard. So they have a parameter and that particular parameter is being passed over here. And next we move on. Again, we move on. Nothing is interesting. And now we can just continue to check out. You can see that the dollar value is 49.98 and you can't see anything over here. And then we continue checkout. And here you will see the amount has been, so here you can see there is a store, there is some information is being passed. So this is why people, they try to tamper the information. So we just give whatever amount we want, but in this case, we just give $1 and then we just forward that particular into the payment. So what happens is this is what the insecure configuration, or this is where the insecure parameters are being passed. Usually what happens, normally that particular value has to be passed on to this. But in this case, what we have done, we have tampered this particular value and that particular value, I'm just trying to type in, nothing is getting changed. This particular amount, what we have done, it has passed. So this is one of the vulnerability and I have informed this particular company long back, but unfortunately they haven't changed anything. So this is how people, they find a vulnerability. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do an intercept off. And I would like to show you one of the Indian website where it had a very similar vulnerability. So let us see how to go with a normal booking. So let us see, where is the pricing? Okay, so when it comes to the price, let us see, let's check. Let's go for 1,000, go for a very basic one. We'll see if we would like to buy 5,000 SMS and we would like to pay them. And I'm not happy to pay, what is this, 1,000 rupees for this particular. So I choose credit card and debit card. I tested with something in today's morning. Hopefully this email doesn't belong to someone. These are all the optional things. And when we try to proceed, it obviously goes to the payment gateway. You can see here it goes, the information is getting passed on to the payment gateway and the cost is 1,062 rupees. And then you can proceed with all those payments. Okay, so this is a normal practice where people have done. And most importantly, this particular website, everyone they uses HTTPS, highly secured, etc., etc., etc. Okay, now we go back to the same website. And just to cut short, okay, let us see from intercept on, because I would like to show you something what is happening. I don't see any information here, so I'm just forwarding it. I'm not seeing any critical information here. This is just the cookies. SMS 5,000, this is the package information they have passed on and forwarded. Let me click on it. There is nothing. So it's just getting this one. Let us forward it again. So this is a payment gateway. So we select credit card. So we use the same thing. And then we try to proceed. And then I need to proceed. I need to forward it here. You have to be very careful and see whether there is any information is being passed. There is nothing. There is nothing. Nothing is getting passed. There are no parameters. There are no parameters. There is something key and the data is getting passed. Okay, there is something. So all these things are scrambled, and let us see. Okay. Is there anything called 1062? Yes, you have 1062 here. I would like to show you something. We'll just put as 1. We'll forward. And you can see again the value here. It has been forwarding twice. So you need to make sure that you give the right information and then forward it. Forward it again. There is something it's waiting. Forward. Forward. And again, click on forwarding. And you can see it looks for this particular IP address. So in my case, I would like to falsify the IP address. And then this is how people they try to do. And then you can see submit button, my mantra, there are anything parameters. Okay, we just go for it. We just put it on. We just put it on. Put it on. Again, it takes some time. So we just need to ensure that you don't click multiple times. And you can see the amount has been changed to $1. Okay, so this is, and again I have written to these people and they have changed a bit, but the only problem what they have, I mean, the best defense against these type of vulnerabilities is to mention not to have the values being passed from the client side, but instead anytime whenever you submit a request, it goes to the server, get it authenticated, come back, meaning to say that you just submit the product code, get the product, the cost of that particular product has to come from the server, not on the client side. So this is how people they try. I mean, this is a simple vulnerability people could easily find out. On the other hand, when you use this particular burp suite on a wider range, you could find out a lot of vulnerabilities in the websites, and you could write to them, and even you can set up your career as a bug bounty programmer. What is this bug bounty programmer? These people, they spend time in finding the vulnerabilities. It is more like in most of the movies, they will always say like, oh, the hacker has get into, or the person has found a vulnerability. I think last year or the year before, there was one Indian guy from Bangalore. He found a vulnerability in Instagram OTP messages, where he was able to predict the OTP messages in advance. And he wrote to them and he was appreciated with, I believe it's about $5,000 for finding out that particular vulnerabilities. So when you try to find a vulnerability and when you inform the asset owners or the companies based on the risk value or based on the impact of the particular vulnerability you have found, you will be rewarded accordingly. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation, and I'm happy to have any questions if you want. Oh, I think just I'm on time. Anand, do you want me to stop sharing? Anand, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you open it for questions?
Yeah, okay,
And
sir.
shall I stop sharing?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Students,
Or you can post the question in the chat if you don't want to ask any questions. I'm happy to handle this.
any question, please chat.
Either you guys fully understand or you guys don't understand. Okay,
Okay.
if you don't, if you guys don't have a question, I'll put forward some questions. Usually I'll get during these presentations. What happens if you buy something after tampering? There has been a lot of interesting cases that has happened in the past, where when you try to tamper values like this, and then when you go to buy certain things, usually after a month or so, the financial department will be looking into all the auditing statements, and they will see there is $1 or ₹1 transaction happen. And if there are multiple $1, ₹1 transactions has happened, what they will do, then they will alert the IT department, and then they will start the process of doing some forensic analysis and see. And that's where the logs plays in a major role. So what happens is these particular logs, it gets they'll be digging into the logs and find out which particular IP, and they'll try to reach that IP. That is why when in my case, I try to tamper my IP, so it might be hard for them to get into it. On the other hand, there is a browser called Tor browser, which is called Onion browser. See, all these terminologies you might have heard in all these latest Tamil movies. I think in Irumbuthirai or something, there was a movie, and it was pretty much they are spotted on it, and a lot of hacking movies. Yeah, Irumbuthirai. So there are a lot of hacking movies these days that comes out of Tamil, and they are really spot on. A lot of terminologies that is being used in hackers they use. If you follow them, if you follow that movie take it as an inspiration and start working on it, definitely you'll have a very nice career. And if you want to set up your career in the future, there are 3 things which you can really focus on. First one is artificial intelligence. Second one is cybersecurity. And the third one is data science. So try to develop your skill sets specifically based on these things. And obviously you will have a very nice, colorful career. Okay, over to you guys. Anything else?
Jayalalitha, you can start now.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. I'm truly humbled by your numerous insightful contributions to this lecture. Contributions of such caliber can only come from a true genius like you. Your presentation was so incredible that I'm finding it difficult getting the right words to express my gratitude to you. Thank you very much, sir.
Right. Thanks for having me. As you know, I have shared my email address. I'm happy to have any questions related to cybersecurity or data science or anything relevant to my career or my profile. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Gratitude makes sense of your past, bringing peace for today and creates a vision for tomorrow. I would like to invite Dharani, Secondary School of Computer Science and Application, to render the vote of thanks.
Do the one thing you think you cannot do. Fail, try again. Do better the second time. The only people who never trouble on those who never mount the higher. This is your moment. Own it. I thank everyone for spending their valuable time to make this webinar a great success. Every one of your present means so much to us. My most sincere thanks to one and all.
Thank you, Dharani. The feedback link was posted in the chat box. Kindly fill the form. This session will now be terminated.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bharat sir, thank you, sir. Dharani sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
See you guys. Have a nice day.
Students, fill the feedback form.
So I'll just sign off.
Okay,
fine?
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Students, fill the feedback form. Then you can exit the meet. The feedback on link in chat box. Karthia ma'am.